It is 1 o'clock. Welcome, everybody, for the launch of our Lunch and Learn Tech Insights about AI and inclusive EdTech, a deeper dive with the Center on Inclusive Technology and Education Systems, otherwise known as CITES. And my name is Mia Lodato, and I'm co-project director for CITES and senior technical assistance specialist. And with me today for our launch of our Tech Insights series, see what we did there? Insights series is Dr. Tiffanie Zaugg, and she is going to be talking to us today about AI and inclusive ed tech. We are so excited that you all are here and the number is growing. Just a reminder, we will be sharing our slides in an email after this. And we welcome you to have any questions in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat today and sharing your questions with with our expert. Tiffanie also happens to be a friend of mine and part of my professional learning community from way back when it was AT Chat on Twitter. So I'm really excited that she's here. She also is an advisory board member for CITES. And thank you. Hello to Kentucky and Elgin, Illinois. Kelly's also in the house and Flagstaff, Arizona. We are so excited to have everybody here, and it keeps going up. Tiffanie, you are really popular. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and I will also say that on this slide there is a QR code and pictures of myself and Tiffanie on the right-hand side. So Tiffanie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to be here. Just a quick little bit about me. I have been a special education teacher. I have taught general education. I was a special ed consultant in Iowa, and I was an assistive technology coordinator for a area education agency in Iowa and the Iowa Department of Ed. And then I had this opportunity to come to Florida for my doctorate's degree. So here I am in Florida. We decided to stay. And who doesn't like warm weather versus snow in Iowa? And so now I'm doing a postdoc at the University of Central Florida. And then I'm also doing some consultant work with UCP schools in Orlando.
We are so excited to have you here. And even though you moved down here and I'm also in Florida, we have yet to see each other more often. So we're going to have to make that work soon, Tiffanie, definitely. So this is our accessibility commitment to you. All of our slides will be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. There'll be alt text images, high color contrast, readable font, video with closed captions, video with audio descriptions, distinct slides, shortened links with descriptive back halves, clear structure and layout, consistent formatting, effective use of images, and check for accessibility using both accessibility check built into PowerPoint and a manual test by a user of assistive technology. And now for what you all are waiting for, here is a slide about me and Dr. Zaugg, Tiffanie. That is not what you're waiting for. There's just a picture of me and Tiffanie there. However, this is what you're waiting for, and I'm going to leave it all to Tiffanie. Take it away.
So today we're really going to talk about artificial intelligence, and we do know that AI is very, very broad with characteristics of different things. So it can be robotics, it can be biometrics, it can be chat bots, large language models, all of those different things. It's just very large. So for that sake, we're going to kind of keep it large. I know a lot of people think about AI being just large language models or chat GPT, and it's so much more. A little history quick. AI has been around since the 50s, so this isn't anything new. But we're going to talk about AI in different disability realms. And then we're going to talk about it in aspect of what are some of the issues, what are some of the concerns that we're seeing. So let's talk about AI for communication. So exciting. How many of us have been around forever and used or seen people use speech to text, but also know that people with speech impairments have troubles using speech to text. Well, now AI is getting better at really addressing those aspects of our speech for our students. So seeing AI for speech to text and text to speech, it's only going to get better. And I mean, it's been around forever, right? Like we have seen text to speech and speech to text before. There are huge advancements in the AAC realm in regards to the voices, the intuitiveness of the AI, and watching that grow. I'm so excited to really talk about how you can have students with significant cognitive difficulties that use AAC and how you can make them a writer. Think about how you could have them converse with a large language model and have them write a story. Have the AAC user then also uh, not only write the story, but then draw the pictures with just a few buttons, right, on your AAC device. It has just opened up a world of access for so many people. There's also in the world of communication, the sign language. So using AI can now look at and recognize your uh, your mouth and what you were saying for people that are lip readers can then also have the AI also auditorily tell them what is being said. Or if somebody that's hard of hearing and we don't have closed captioning on, that can actually then be able to use AI to read the lips of the students. On the screen, I will say we have an image of a young girl using an AAC device, and then we also have a picture of a mouth with different words, wow, bye, oops, psst, hi. So there's a lot of things that are available for AI for communication. Next. We have AI for mobility and physical assistance. So I have a picture of Jordan Nugent, and you're like, what? What's so special about Jordan? Well, Jordan's an engineer, and he actually has come up with a way to use your mind through AI to drive a wheelchair. So thinking about all of the different ways that we can change the way we are accessing the world using AI. So if you're a person with mobility issues and you're not even able to use your joystick, right, to drive, now they're working on using AI through your mind to be able to drive your wheelchair. Pretty crazy. Also, AI-driven personal assistant robots for daily tasks. So we have robots that can cook. We can have robots that can clean. I have my two iRobot robots at home, right? So they're vacuuming for me. But you can actually have an AI assistant that is a robot through Unitree, which is the next picture on the screen, is a robot, and this robot is actually taking nuts and breaking them open for someone. But just you can use it for cooking and all sorts of different types of materials or tasks you would like them to do. Are there any questions? Are there any AI tools that translate speech into sign language? There are actually apps out there. I'm not off the top of my head being to be able to throw out the name of that, but if you Google apps that can transcribe uh, uh, sign language, there are some out there. So I'm sorry, I can't come up with the names of them, but there are some out there. So thinking about AI, thank you. Somebody had responded that there's Hand Talk, which is an app for just that. So thank you for sharing that. AI for cognitive and learning support. We have AI driven tutoring for personalization. So thinking about how we can really tailor students learning using AI. There's learning systems. Khan Academy is out there and they're really pushing the personalized learning, right? So I could have 4 students, 20 students in a classroom, and they're all getting their own personalized learning that can go out and say, oh, I need this, the student needs this. And so it's really tailoring that learning for each of the students. So we have the picture of the student sitting in the back of the room with earphones on and looking at curriculum on a computer. But just think about how that no longer has to be in the back of the room, right? Like that could be in a room with all students with earbuds on and they're all having their personalized learning. So the next part of this is memory aids and executive functioning for students or anyone, right? Cool cognitive assistance is what I like to call them. So in this picture, there's somebody that's touching a little icon of a person and they have their different iPhones or iWatches and computers all sitting there. And it's a way for us to think about, we know that our Apple Watches and our iPhones and our Android devices all have reminders that you can set, all of those different tools, but we can take that tool that much further, right? We can have conversations. We can have those times where the tool tells us, I need a reminder set every 15 minutes that I have an upcoming meeting, or I can have something vibrate to tell me. I also think about how the cognitive assistant could be beneficial in regards to students that may be off task, struggle with some ADHD, and they're having those memory aids populate. Or I can say, hey, can you provide me what the acronym is for CITES? What does it mean? And thinking about it in regards to having those memory aids um, for our students, and how quickly AI can bring those aids up for us. Next, we have AI for vision and hearing assistance. So in this picture, you can kind of see some boxes that are over people's faces or over people, and that's really the AI object recognition. It's AI, and we've had the apps where you could hold the app up and then it'll scan a soup soup and tell you what the name of the soup or the can is that you're holding. That is AI. It's just thinking about it as AI. Those are the things that we really need to remember, that AI has been here and we've been using it. Companies are just now calling it out as AI, which can be a problem, which is something we can talk about in a little bit. So we have object recognition, we have navigation. So we have the smart vehicles that are driving us around. You can have the driverless car, which kind of scares me. But those are AI assistants. The next picture is AI smart glasses. I found this really funny little thing where a teacher said, our school district just got our AI policy in the school done, and I have a student sitting in the back of the classroom. I thought they were talking to themselves. Well, lo and behold, they had AI glasses on. So the way that AI is interacting, it can be that object recognition. You can have it set for navigation. You can have it bring up things to tell you what is going on, or can you read this for me? And so thinking about some of those tools that we've been using forever, but having it all in glasses. So there's that. One of the things that for vision I found really intriguing is China has been working on a CNI robot dog. And so just thinking about how that is coming to play and where that's going to be in the future. Can you imagine the longevity? At first I was thinking, the CNI dog could be really more longevity than a real dog, right? But then I'm like, well, not necessarily. We know how quickly technology changes. How the living dog might actually have a longer um, um, longevity than a CNI robotic dog. But just knowing those are coming out, that another way that we're using AI to assist our people with disabilities. So AI in healthcare. There's the virtual therapists, mental health chatbots. How many of you know when the first chatbot came about? Does anybody know? And what that chatbot was?
I don't see any answers yet. I bet people are thinking. I don't know. Let's see.
Oh,
Shelley
we
says Eliza.
It is. So it was Eliza, and she was a therapist back in the 1960s. So if you think about it, but not a large language models, it was a small language model. So it was Eliza, and yep, she was a therapist. And so chatbots have been around for a long time, but again, I feel like the world of ChatGPT just blew things apart, and people are really now taking notice. But using them as a way to have conversations, it's kind of actually a little bit scary. I read an article where ChatGPT actually was able to diagnose a child's disability, that a parent had gone to 5 different doctors and they could not diagnose it. And then when they put the information into ChatGPT, gave an idea, the parent then took it to their doctor, and sure enough, that was actually the diagnosis. So using chatbots to help with diagnosing, to now don't think I don't realize there's not hallucinations out there, because I do. I do know that. And that can be scary. But having them as a way to talk about things or talk to people through that therapy and in demand on time things. And then obviously, we have so the one picture is a phone with a little chat bot talking to another person. And then the other one, we have a healthcare provider with some texting going back that, you can use it to set your medication reminders, check and monitor your health. The biometrics is pretty crazy. I know people are working on a platform where a teacher can sit and at their desk and be monitoring the biometrics of students in the classroom. So if you think about their heart rate, and when can you start to see a child escalating, and can we intervene with those students that are escalating before they've reached the point that we can't intervene, and we have to wait for the behavior to pass and the student to come down before that intervention has able to be done. So even the biometrics piece is pretty amazing out there. So with that said, I have gone through this really quickly, and now I'm going to turn it back I thought we were doing um, having them do
Yes,
their,
a survey. You're right.
yes.
Thank you so much for that, Tiffany. I moved the survey. Sorry about that.
Okay.
We do have a survey at the end, and we would really appreciate if you share that survey, take that survey. We're trying to get information for sites. And as you take that survey, you will actually get a freebie. There's a couple of freebies that are offered when you take that survey, and to those people that you pass it on. But this is also a good time to see if there's any questions. It is 1:19, so you have gone over a lot, and you've actually touched on a lot of things that make me just wonder about use in school. So, oh, don't worry, Patricia, the survey will be coming up in a little bit. There's even a slide for it. So right now we're just going to pause and see if there's any questions. I was actually typing in the chat, Tiffany, that there was an AI that was used for bread, and then they found medical use for it to do the earliest detection of certain breast cancers because bread is similar to breast tissue. So I thought that was interesting too.
So
Tiffany, what is the AI tool you created, and is there a link to the slides? There will be a link to the slides and resources. It will be emailed out after this.
So as you can see, if you can see in my image here, L is my chatbot that I had created. It's education and learning in an inclusive environment. And it came about because I was very interested in the fact that we're talking about in-demand time, that time when you really need assistance, but that person or that expert or um, is not available. And how can I have that in demand, on time, and have evidence and research-based strategies, lesson plans, those things at the tip of my fingers? So I created L. L is, like I said, it uses evidence and research-based strategies is what's programmed into it. You'll find things from CITES and CAST and all of those different things that we know are really great resources for us. And it is what I'd call a closed bot. And what that means is it doesn't go out into the internet and pull from anywhere. It is only training off of the materials that I put into it, which helps cut down on the hallucinations. It's really interesting. Seeing a bunch of people from Canada. I'm actually working with Toronto University. I believe that's the university in Toronto. And we've been working with Alan. We're doing some research around it. And one of the students said, well, I think Al hallucinated because they had put in that the student liked Spider-Man. And Al told them to use video modeling and get a video of Spider-Man and this other person having a conversation, and they're like, see, they hallucinated that. And I'm like, actually the research based strategy it provided you is telling you need to use video modeling for this student. So just really rethinking that, not that there's not glitches, not that it's not biased. So that'll lead us right into the ethical considerations here. L is biased. All AI is biased right now because it is created by humans. So when you have a human in the loop, no matter what you put in, there's a bias. My bias would be that the only thing L is going to give you is research and evidence-based strategies. So if you're looking for some strategies that, I'll use the example of colored overlays. As a special education teacher, I had a second grade student, and no matter what tool I tried, whatever trick I tried, whatever strategy I tried, I could not get that little girl to read. And my special education consultant came in and she's like, Tiffanie, you have colored overlays on your shelf. And I'm like, I know, but there's no research to support that. And she's like, just try it. You've tried everything else, give it a whirl. And I put the different overlays on the student's paper, and I put the blue overlay on it. And she looked up to me and she said, the letters stopped moving. Never had I ever known that that little girl, when she looked at print, the letters were moving. So unfortunately, you're not going to find colored overlays because we don't have enough of the students that it shows to make it a research-based strategy. So again, there's a reason we need a human in the loop, right? Because if that human wouldn't have said to me, hey, Tiffanie, why don't you try this? I never would have, because I was biased against research and evidence-based strategies. So in our ethical considerations, the bias is definitely something that's there. We want to be inclusive in our design. Anytime we are creating any tools, we really need to have people with disabilities involved in that consideration. So thinking about, and I'll be honest, I had a bunch of doctoral students. I've had a lot of educators. I've had a lot of other people, but I've not had someone with a disability actually join um, into my world of work with L. But I do know that your large language models are not accessible. So if anybody ever wants to join me and to create accessible chatbots, I would love to do that. Other ethical considerations we need to think about are, the privacy. I always tell people, do not put students' names in any type of prompt you do. When using L, one of the reasons I use custom GPT, that's the platform I use with L, is I do not see who the people are that are actually accessing. It says anonymous. And so again, I don't need that information. Nobody needs to know who's asking someone what, but we really need to be cognizant of the privacy, data, security, all of those things need to be things that you are thinking about when you're using especially large language models, because anything you put into ChatGPT is using, well, you can go in and if you're using the paid version, tell it that you don't want it to use it for training. But when you're using those things, it could easily use that to train future models. And then, of course, not last but not least, I have this young lady who is a wheelchair user. And in the background, there's pink money that there's $100 bills, right? The affordability of when I talk about when I showed the robot that they had with the nuts, that robot is $13,000 to $23,000. So when you're talking about, you know, affordability, yeah, we might be providing some access for some people that need somebody to be able to cook and clean and do all of those things for them, but the price of that accessibility is crazy. And it's really disheartening in our world about how expensive um the technology should be. With that being said, L, my chatbot, is free for anyone to use. So I
And
will.
we love that. Thank you so much. And we're going to be sharing that with people who are on this webinar. And you have shared that also. I'm going to see here. You have also shared that with our community of practice, which brings us to this. If you are not in our community of practice and you want to be more a part of the conversation and have more conversations about all things inclusive ed tech, and ed tech people and IT people and general educators, administrators, we would love to have you invite them to our community of practice, which is bit.ly/join cites. Our next community of practice is actually going to be talking about the Title II DOJ requirements coming up for accessibility for uh, for websites and materials in K through 12 schools. So please join us and sign up here. Make sure that you don't miss that. Let's see here. Looks like we have some messages in the chat. Thank you for dropping that in the chat, Alyssa. And it says there's some, let's see here. Thank you for including the sources. Yeah, that EL gives. Absolutely. We love all of L. And thank you for sharing all this information. Here is that survey that we were talking about. So if you could share this survey, there is more free resources that you can get from this. And that's bit.ly cites survey. And this is for our leaders, ed tech leaders, special education leaders, administrators. If they or you could take 10 minutes out of your time, it's going to be really helpful for us to get that information. And it is going to inform our grant. So thank you for that in advance. It is 1:30. And I would just like to thank you again, Tiffanie, so much for being here and sharing this information. Here's some information on how to reach us, which we will be sharing out. And also, don't forget, we have UDLCon International coming up. July 23rd through 24th. And these are the last days to put in a call for proposal, but we hope to see you there. And thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Tiffanie Zaugg. This was a great conversation, quick too, and we hope to see everybody in the future. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank
See
you
you
for having
soon.
me.
We really appreciate you. Thanks so much.